Good afternoon. On behalf of Sealaska Corporation and Sealaska Heritage Institute, I'd like to thank all of you for coming today and welcome you here. We have so many notable guests around the table and outside the realm of the table that we could be here all day acknowledging you, but know from my heart that we welcome you. I have the awesome privilege of acknowledging and recognizing my grandfather, Cyril George, today. But before I do that, let me just make a few more comments. My mother, Irene Cadiente, is here. She's the first cousin to Cyril George. Willis is my grandfather, his father. And we also have Nora and Richard Downhauer with us. And also we have Dion Cadiente from Gold Belt Heritage Foundation and Selena Everson and several of the staff from Gold Belt Heritage. Thank you for being here. We also have John Martin and the Princes. Thank you for being here with us. About a month ago, my family and I attended a kuik in Angoon, and we were pretty nervous about that because we were hosting the party and there was so much to do, and we weren't quite sure exactly if we had everything together. And we had a lot of questions, and as we were preparing the food to take to the party, lo and behold, around the corner comes our uncle, Cyril George. And he was such a welcome person to see come around that corner at that time. So while we were making salad and getting the stew ready, he sat down with us and answered many of our questions. I share that story with you because he said, of all introductions, of all welcome, it's just as if that person that you've been longing for, seeing them coming around the corner. And indeed, he welcomed us back home to Angoon, where our mother grew up. I also want to add as an aside that while this man stands for many characteristics and traits and that he lives and embodies, he is also very knowledgeable in so many realms and is very up to date. He has an email address, and perhaps before we leave here we can get that email address from him. I was so surprised one day to get an email from him. I was just tickled about that. When I asked another elder if he had an email address, he said, "Email? What is that?" But my great uncle has an email address. As many of you know in the community, Cyril George is the son of Willis and Lily George, that he's a community leader, he's a family man, a band member, a musician, former basketball player, a builder of boats, and many organizations. He is also the husband to belated Judy George, whom he carries with her always. He's the housemaster of the Basket Bay Arch House since 1974 and clan leader of his house group, the oldest Deisheetaan leader. He's a former mayor of Angoon and member of the Angoon City Council. He's the interim director of the original Sealaska Board of Directors. He's also a member, or has been a past member, of the Kutsnawu Permanent Fund Trustee Emeritus and chair of Kutsnawu Heritage Foundation. He was a council member for the Juneau Tlingit and Haida Community Council and a delegate for many years. He also is involved in the General Assembly of the Tlingit and Haida Central Council, and he was cited as the Assembly Citizen of the Year. He's a former commercial fisherman, he's active in the Lions Club, and he's a lifetime member of the Alaska Native Brotherhood. He's a man of faith and a friend of the community and just a man of character. And one of the things that he is most notable for is to bring a word to the weary. He is always right there when you need him. And with that, I would like, again, to welcome Cyril George Sr., and please, if you would, welcome him with me.
Yeah, thank you. Well, first, a word about my favorite subject. That's me. I was born in Hood Bay, 12 miles from Killisnoo, where my story will begin. I lived in Killisnoo until 1928 when Killisnoo burned. As far as I know, the only people that are alive now is Walter Sobloff besides me, that are from Killisnoo. I was born 1922. My name is Kakak. My nephews gave me this name when we gave a thank you party for my aunt. No human ever had that name before. It means the arch for our basket bay. Seeing all of you, I'm like that senator. He was in one of the side rooms, walking back and forth, studying, looking at his campaign speech. This lady walks up to him. She says, "Senator, do you get nervous when you're going to campaign?" "Ah, no, I've done it 1,000 times. "Why do you ask?" She said, "I'm just wondering what you're doing in the ladies' room." Another one, this is a true story. George Jim, our grandpa, he liked going out fishing and hunting with younger guys. His buddy was Willie Jack, one of my dad's nephews. One day they were going out halibut fishing. They bait up two skates, one skate apiece. When they got in the boat, Willie Jack told him, "Yan kawat, goas goed is gatoer. Ik de nik aan has geslaat ken has dit eigen." Says, "Old timer, you should be teaching us young guys." They tell us they used to talk to their hooks a long time ago. George Jim in English, "Well, I tell you, I talked to mine." He was sitting by his skate. "I talked to mine last night. Today, we're going out fishing and no monkey around." In 1878, Northwest Trading moved into Killisnoo. I always thought we have pictures of a whale on a big platform. I always thought that they did whaling first, but what I'm going to talk about is documents by De Laguna, Professor Drugger, and Krause. These are all documented. Many of the stories that are told, as we told it, differ from what the officers of the Navy wrote. All the records of the Navy doing what they did, De Laguna and Drucker an analyst, they believe that this officer Merriman was trying to justify the wrong that he did with his own story. According to Krauss, Angoon had a population of 420. I've been asked to tell stories by Gold Belt to our tourists. And not thinking about this, I tell the tourists that we had problems. And these problems were brought about by misunderstanding or not knowing culture. They say we couldn't speak English very good. Some of our people, and as a boy I heard some of our old men pass words, I don't know what in Chinook. They used to speak Chinook. And in these reports it is said they probably just knew enough to get by in their trading, talking in Chinook. The Indians of Sitka and Wrangell, probably the only ones that had understanding of the English language during this time. When the trading post moved into Killisnoo in 1880, some of our Angoon people volunteered helping setting up, and later they were paid anywhere from $1 a day to $2 a day. That was the wages. Commander Merriman, he came to Alaska in 1882. He took over the command from Commander Glass in Sitka. Our people believe in accidents. I heard a story. Our men made a rope, so it wouldn't break. They had a name for this, I can't think of the name they gave to this rope. Jinahat koha khatietikukutz. When it came time for an accident, even this big rope broke. Our shaman, a good shaman, he ranks with the chief. If anything happens to him, he gets the same treatment as the chief. We go into mourning. Our shaman was a deckhand on a gunboat that hunted whales. One day the harpoon exploded, killed Tlingit. His name was Tlingit, big dog salmon. So our people went into mourning, 4-day mourning. We don't do anything. We mourn. "4 days. The superintendent of this trading post in Killisnoo, he took a company boat from Killisnoo, loaded his family on there and took off for Sitka. In Sitka there was the beginning of the Navy. There he reported to the Navy that the Indians of Angoon were getting ready to kill off the white people in Killisnoo. Merriman, the man before him, worked good with our people in Sitka. He took the time to study our culture, so he managed to keep peace among our people. When Merriman relieved him in '82, that was gone. I'm just going along as things pop into my head. The Navy, and they had Marines that they loaded on the Favorite, a big boat that they mounted guns on. The CCC, in working in Angoon some time back, found some of the shells that they dug up. When Angoon sent these to the museum, they brought in the military and the experts. These were all outdated, even for the time they were used at the when they came to Angoon, they just opened fire. In my time as a young guy, I heard Billy Jones, our chief of all chiefs, tell this story. He stood on a hill, his mom hanging on to him. he asked his mom as they watched the shelling, why are they doing this? She didn't know. Billy Jones in 1950 was 81 years old, according to my figuring here. Old man crying like a little boy. The Navy, after they did all these shellings, they came ashore in little boats, had rifles. They started chopping up our canoes. We used to store our vegetables, we call it chosh, vegetables dug way down so it wouldn't freeze. Those were all destroyed. They came ashore with coal oil, they say, kerosene. Started burning our houses. We have a beaver that came off, the only survivor, a canoe. He's about that big. Matilda Gamble is still alive. It was her dad as a young boy that owned this canoe. He and other boys went hunting. When they came back, Angoon was gone, flattened. When I headed some of the organizations in Angoon, we tried to get the Navy to apologize. We had some things, we could use it for a lever to get some help. But the Navy wouldn't do anything. One of them went as far as saying that if we started apologizing for all the mistakes made in small communities, we won't be able to do anything else. There, merry men said we held hostages. But and they said we took some of their boats, and according to De Laguna, the way the report, Navy report reads that there was no way that Angoon Indians with no weapons or anything could have forced them to do things. We had only one canoe to. This canoe did overtime through the year. All our food supplies were gone. Mary Men said he left enough food for people to survive and enough shelter. Krauss, in his investigation, found that at the time of the bombing, Angoon had 12 big community houses and some small ones. He didn't number the small ones. It was after I came to Juneau, moved to Juneau. I heard that a lady back east found a letter that her grandson had written, handwritten, I forget how many pages. He gave the full account of the things that they did to a helpless Angoon people. From this I hear that the Navy is willing to apologize. In the 70s, when we were seeking compensation for, Congress gave us $90,000. That's how much all our loss was. But they told us they didn't include 7 lives of children that died from smoke inhalation. $90,000. We put on 1982, we had a commemoration. Angoon, 100 years later, we made videos. I was the chairman of Kutznow Heritage Foundation. Our purpose in making this video and other documents was to have people hear our story. We invited people, Austin Hammond, George Dalton, and all the notables that came. I got to talk to some of the old people. How they hurt. They looted our our regalia, our carvings. Not too long ago in Denver, we found a beaver hat. I couldn't put a claim on it because I didn't have the story. When I put a claim on what used to be ours, I want to tell the story so that so somebody else won't step forward, hey, that's mine. This beaver hat, why is it a museum, a big museum? We just saw it laying in a back room, Harold Jacobs and I. We looked at this hat, the tail part, the pin, dry rotted, is just laying in there. It's a beaver, 2 front teeth that we use for identifying a beaver. The tag on there, sold by unknown. Where did it come from? Who brought it? Nothing on there. And it says, this could be a wolf, or this could be a beaver. We think it's one of ours. That is, the design looks like ours. Some of the things that I've been having a rough time. My friend Kathy here, she types from me. My hearing is gone. I'm always afraid I might speak up at the wrong time. It would hurt me. People laugh if I did that. I used to love making people laugh when I'm emceeing. I had an aunt, Cecilia Coons. She told me one time, you're coming to the age now where you, at a meeting like this, you can get up any time and talk about anything you want. So that nobody will laugh. I haven't tried it. Oh, this canoe. The people of Angoon gave this canoe a chief's funeral. When it got beyond repairs, cracking up and couldn't be fixed anymore. They had a big ceremony. The canoe was cremated like a chief. there are some differences in it's kind of because of misunderstanding. They said we demanded 200 blankets. Our people do some things to ease the pain on a side that lost. We give them some. My family, we were involved in one of these. Our chief had a little sailboat from Basket Bay. We're from Basket Bay. Summertime, well, he had a young boy fishing with him. They had an accident while they were fishing. The young boy drowned. I was told after the burial, our chief called the family together. Those of us that lived in Basket Bay, there was a family. He called the family together. This you see, you call it Wergild, what is paid to a person that was wrong. Our chief told the family, I'm in an embarrassing way. I'm supposed to put up a sizable amount of money to this family. They're from the same side, different house, of course, but ravens just like us. Our chief got up, he went in the bedroom, came out, he had a beaver tunic, chilkat woven. He told the family, can I give them this? This story was told to me by Peter Dick when he ordered a replacement. He told me this story when Johnny Clonat delivered our beaver tunic. This is what our people want, they say. They ask for 200 blankets. When Merriman was told this, he demanded 400 blankets from Angoon people. Now we give this up to ease the pain of this family that lost. I talk about people that were in Basket Bay. We originate in Teslin, Canada, Deisheetaan. We migrated from there. Sealaska took me up to Teslin about 2 years ago. Dr. Subloff, Clarence Jackson, Rosita Worrell, Al Kukash, they took me up. Some of the people up there wanted to hear our story. So they took me up there to the original, what I was going to talk about before this bombardment. What my culture means to me. When I got up, you know, take Dr. Subloff and Clarence Jackson, when they speak, that's a tough act to follow. I was sitting there in a great big place there up in Teslin, meeting place. These guys talking. I was thinking, what can I say to get these people's attention? I thought of a story that I heard as a young guy. It stuck in my mind. This elderly man came to Haines. His grandparents are from Haines. His parents are from Haines. But he was born elsewhere. He was a middle-aged man when he finally came back to Haines. As he stood in front of Deisheetaan, the royalty. This is what he said in Tlingit. He Deisheetaan Deisheetaan Akustiya and Nahudawa Tlakgoya. At long last, I finally seen Chilkat, where my roots originate. When he said this in Tlingit, this is what he actually said to the people down there. Ye Deisheetaan heaven, Akustiya and Nakishakawstiya. At long last, I've seen heaven, where my life originates. As I stood in front of the people in Teslin, I told them, that's the way I feel today, standing in front of you here in Teslin, where my roots originate. think that's about. Well, where's that? I'd like to thank some of you people that have been sending me email. Our committee went to Sacramento last week. We spent a week there. Enrollment committee. We enroll newborns. Oh, I had a nice time. Weather in Sacramento was Juneau weather. Light rain. When I landed in Juneau, I was hit with some bad news for me. My number 1 son and my number 3 son were medevaced to Mount Edgecombe Hospital. Both of them weren't doing very good. People have been stepping forward. It helps. In some of these, one of the remarks made is that our villages were located with the purpose of exploiting our fish. It's true, all our villages are next to a fish stream. But from the time I can remember, my dad taught me take care of the land and it will always feed you. I was even told that when sailing started, our people, you call it hand power, they rowed. They pursed by hand power. And they had to fish the mouth of these streams. The fish and game man was the chief of this place. He would say, no more. We've got to save some for now. Everybody would leave, go to another place. How I did a lot of hunting, trapping. Now I'm paying by not hearing, living with a rifle. We're taught to respect. Everything has a spirit. The fish in the sea, animals in the woods. I was told, never say anything that will offend these spirits. Don't say anything about the animals. I tell a little story. I've told this to my little brother Ish there about Aktatsin. This little boy was in a dry fish camp with his folks. Yeah, playing along the river there. He saw that fish laying there rotting. So he runs there and kicked it. As he started playing around, he met these people. These people said, "Hey, come on, we're going on a boat ride, come on." Oh, he got on. And they took him to their winter home. Later on, when he didn't see his folks around or anybody he knew, he started to get lonesome, missed his family. He'd go off and sit by himself. Even the little kids would bring him things, try to cheer him up. No. One day the chief came. He told his people, "Yaktiin gachtatan aktatsin." Aktatsin is this boy's name. Let's take a boat with him. We'll take him to this stream that unravels your thoughts. What happens to your thoughts when you're hurt? You lose the loved one. Your thoughts. Springtime, everybody start getting ready. Now the chief came to Aktatsin, told him, "We're taking you to your folks' place." He didn't know he was a fish, he was a little boy. When we get over there, you're going to see your mom there working on fish, be cleaning. Sit down and watch her. Just keep watching her. After a while, she'll notice you. She's going to yell for somebody to bring a gaff hook. So when he got there, he was watching her. Thought he was sitting there. Sure enough, his mom noticed him. She yelled, "Somebody bring a gaff hook. This fish keeps watching me." Oh, this part the chief told him. Here's the first hint that he wasn't a little boy. He told him, when they gaff you, duck towards your tail. Ikutudei datlek. Duck towards your tail. You won't feel a thing. Sure enough, his mom yelled for somebody to bring a gaff hook. Like he was instructed when he was gaffed, he ducked towards. They threw that fish in front of his mom. when she finished the other one, she was going to cut the fish head off. Yeah, she screamed. This fish is wearing my little boy's neckband. We used to have copper band around. The shaman knew what was happening. That one building, he told him, clean out everything. Mud floor, everything being swept off. Yeah. When everything was cleaned out, they brought a board, and put feathers on there, put this board up above where the fireplace. They put that fish on there, had it up there. All the people in that camp gathered there. Something was going to happen. They were sitting there. Long about midnight, they heard a loud hum coming from up there. So a young guys climbed up there. Aktatsin is up here. The boy returned. They sent him back. Ish told me his uncle, was it Fred? Fred Hope has this name, Aktatsin. How when we use this story sometime, I say when we're saying thank you, seeing your faces made this stream that unravels your thoughts. I think I'm yeah, thank you for this is an honor. I've been sitting tight, so I still don't know what I'm gonna do. But I wanted to come. You know, I was married twice before. My first wife gave me 5 boys and 1 girl. We lost the younger one here in Juneau. We have a girl also. I never thought I'd ever live in Juneau. My second wife was from here too. I lost her over 6 years ago now. But I tell some of the people that it's not Juneau that makes me feel at home. It's the people. the people in it. How we our people like to tell stories about love. I have one little story I'd like to tell you. In the olden days, war parties went around. What was happening? Able-bodied men were being captured for slaves. Leave. He recognized his child's cry. This man came walking out of the woods to be taken slave for the love of his child. Some of our stories that are told us when we're being taught about respect and other. I grew up around Huna too, summertime. I got little buddies. Jake White, one of them, is still around. Richard Bean is gone. When we were invited to Huna for a party, I got to meet Richard Shakely. We both played guitar when we were real young. He gave to me one of the most beautiful speeches I ever heard. Ishas Ganashishha Jinji Shiyada Yesitat Gea Kat Achtakat Khaslatin Ha Kakas Yitakai Haskasli Atk Astakaniyan Wucha'udana Wuchishan Yitatayat Khahan Yankawat Khatsiti Atkat Kayo Jiak. His speech, he thanked our brother-in-laws. It was just yesterday I was standing by that door back there. I was listening to our uncles speak to you, their brother-in-laws, speaking of love, speaking of respect, wisdom. And now here I am standing in front of you. My speech has no head. We have I think we have some beautiful sayings. A lot of I try to take some of our language apart. I got a new granddaughter the other day. My mother told me the Chan grandchild was the pronunciation. It started off as Achusachanke. That means my little bundle of love. Through the years, the pronunciation got shortened and changed. I adopted a minister from Philadelphia about 5 years ago. He has a daughter, and she came with him. I told her, you know, when the Tlingits say my daughter, when they say achsi, that means my doll. Si is a doll. One of the things I learned in my old age is that Tlingits can only count to 5. Starts off Tleig, Deich, Nust, Daikun, Kijin, one hand. Then when you go to 6, Tleig the washu, it runs to 1. Deich the washu, and so on, it runs to 2, 3. And on 9, when you're about to accomplish something, you smile to yourself. So on 9, your thumb is smiling. When you may come to 10, Jinka. When we hit 20, it keeps going. Techa, one man, 20. This has been a good time. When I came to Juneau, when I came back, and I got hit with the news of my boys. I told Kathy Ruddy that my concentration is out there someplace wandering around. I couldn't. There's a lot. I try to make notes with the things that I told are recorded. Some stories differ. Depends on where you're watching from, I think. Yeah. One of the a man came up about 5 years ago. His grandfather was in the Navy. When we were going to have a thank you party, I don't know how he found out, but he came to Angoon. We gave him a name. He said, I don't know how much this will mean to the people of Angoon, but I want to apologize for my grandfather's part in it. We had a little ceremony. We gave him a name. The name our young chiefs gave him was Anya, the face of a town. I think he was very happy with. I think we all know that this happened because of misunderstanding. We couldn't communicate. But now there are people that are interested in learning our ways. And for that we're thankful. Walter Sobloff wrote in his Tongass Today and Future, telling somebody that Angoon has been doing its part. And it will keep doing its part if you let it. And I think we're at that point. Hey, thank you.
Again, thank you for coming and helping us to honor such a revered man. I know it's a tradition of our people to give response back, and I know many of you have to get back to work, but if some of his contemporaries would like to thank him as well, please take this time to do so. With that, okay, thank you. I wanted to mention, and I know he would appreciate it as well. Oh, okay.
I'd like to say thank you to my adopted brother Cyril George. And I also want to say, when you acknowledge all the folks that are in this room, they always say, the thing I learned as a youngster, they would say, Shaw, Kakar, Shaw was an A. It means ladies and the men folks. Our Tlingit people knew that the respect was eternal, the spirit of the people. So as we learned our English language, we actually acknowledge the fact that we had an understanding of showing that are respectful here or any gathering that acknowledges is so special and meaningful among our people. I also want to know the people that are here. Not too many of the folks that are here, except Irene, I think my sister, and some of the folks that are a little older, but Cyril is an elder. I want to share what's in my heart. Over the years is what we see today, in the progress that is made. I think I want to compliment my brother on his story because the villages, including Juneau, Citro, Texas, it is what we see today as communities. But the villages that are here in yesteryears were not always the same as they were. But try to envision the fact that I think the story that Brother Cyril told in relationship to Angoon it's sad, but they're reminding us how yesteryears were in the turn century and how our people encountered the change in our generation. It's unfortunate that when the visitors first came to Alaska and how our people made that transition. It's fortunate
Didn't see you sneaking.
We've all been wiped out. But today, what Brother's message was that we're here and we're learning the respectful way and we're protecting what we have through the language. As you heard the single words from my brother and some of the words that he shared with us and verification. Stories along the way, they call it a 50 That's a reminder of the mileposts that we encountered. And today is a milepost because Brother Cyril shared the encounter and his personal opinion. Alluded to his elders like Bill Jones and some other people that taught him well. So I want to thank each and every one of you for giving me the opportunity to acknowledge Brother Cyril and all the elders that are here and the visitors. Thank you.
Finish, Chief. In closing, Uncle Cyril mentioned that when he came back to Juneau just back after the Thursday afternoon, he learned that two of his sons were medevaced to Anchorage and then to Sitka. And so please, if you would, keep them in your prayers. And also the community of Angoon, they've been hit pretty heavily the last couple of days with health concerns of their members. So again, have a good afternoon.